My name is Anita Stokes Hicks. Prostate cancer has claimed the life of my father and changed the life of my husband. I have prepared this presentation on prostate cancer in African American men. Prostate cancer occurs when cancerous cell growth takes place in the prostate gland. The prostate is a small, walnut-shaped gland that is part of the male reproductive system. Its job is to make the fluid that nourishes and protects sperm. It also makes the fluid that transports sperm and makes up the liquid portion of semen. While early-stage prostate cancer may produce no symptoms at all, advanced-stage cancer may produce symptoms such as frequent or painful urination, blood in the urine, loss of bladder and or bowel control, erectile dysfunction, and numbness in the legs or feet. Advanced-stage cancer may also produce pain in the hips, ribs, or spine if the cancer has metastasized and spread to bones and the other parts of the body. There are 2 annual routine screening tests for the diagnosis of prostate cancer. They are the digital rectal exam, in which the doctor inserts a gloved, lubricated finger into the rectum in order to feel for areas that are rigid, have bumps, or signal abnormalities. The prostate-specific antigen, or PSA test, is a blood test that is used to determine the existence of prostate cancer and to measure and stage cancer in early diagnosis. If the doctor becomes concerned, he may order yet a 3rd means of diagnosis, known as the prostate biopsy, during which a small needle is used to extract a tissue sample from the prostate. This sample is then sent to the lab and examined under a microscope. Gleason scores and PSA numbers are used to grade prostate cancer and determine the stage of the disease. According to the National Cancer Society, in the United States in 2014, almost 30,000 men will die of prostate cancer. About 1 in 7 white men will be diagnosed in his lifetime. But for African American men, about 1 in 4 will be diagnosed in his lifetime. And African American men are more likely to have advanced stage diagnoses and are 2 times more likely to die from the disease. The literature suggests that age is the #1 determinant of prostate cancer. The risk of contracting the disease is much higher beyond the age of 50. African American men contract prostate cancer at earlier ages than their white counterparts. Race is also a determinant of prostate cancer. African American men and those of African ancestry are 2 times more likely to be diagnosed with the disease at a more advanced stage than other ethnic groups. They are also more likely to die from the disease. A family history of prostate cancer increases the risk of contracting the disease. Those with brothers having had prostate cancer are more at risk of developing the disease than those with a father that has had prostate cancer. The cultural influences of diet is thought to be related to the development of prostate cancer. African American men consume higher amounts of processed meat, red meat, and meat that is fatty. This meat is cooked at higher temperatures, such as grilling and frying. It contains carcinogenic compounds that increase cancer risk. A diet rich in the antioxidants found in fruits and vegetables may reduce the risk of developing prostate cancer. Lifestyle can also be a determinant of prostate cancer. A sleep duration of 3 to 5 hours nightly compared to 7 to 8 hours nightly increased the risk of developing fatal prostate cancer by 64%. Also, significant alcohol consumption over a lifetime produces a cumulative risk of developing advanced stage prostate cancer. This web of causation shows the determinants of prostate cancer that have been discussed, as well as their direct and indirect influence. Social workers who work in the healthcare arena have a responsibility to focus on not only medical regimen, but also the cultural and socioeconomic factors that affect African American men with prostate cancer. Social workers may operate in various roles such as educator, planner, and advocate. To be successful in these roles, they must practice cultural competence with African American patients who have prostate cancer. Social workers can partner with other organizations such as churches, barbershops, and fraternal organizations for a collaborative effort to educate and increase screening and reduce the number of men that die from the disease in the African American community. One community-based response is If You Are My Brothers, a prostate cancer television project that is a documentary film chronicling the experience of two African American men diagnosed with prostate cancer. This project has been expanded beyond the broadcast signal to include a media engagement project. You may obtain more information by clicking on the link provided. The mission of the project is to offer creative strategies that will increase knowledge and awareness about prostate cancer in the African American community. To learn more about the producer and his personal story, which sparked this media engagement project, we will now watch the My Fox Atlanta feature.
From out of the blue, from one fraternity brother to hundreds of others on a mailing list.
Reggie Hicks didn't know the sender, and he didn't realize how reading that message would change his life. The Fox Medical Team's Beth Galvin is here now with his story. Beth?
And Russ and Deidre, 2 weeks before he sent out that email in January of 2007, Ralph Franklin was diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer, and he was given about a 15% chance of survival. Well, Ralph's email was so honest and it was so frank that Reggie Hicks was drawn in, convinced that people all over the country needed to hear what Ralph had to say.
Trying to get the trailer finished, so.
After almost 30 years in public broadcasting, Reggie Hicks, WCLK-FM's Director of Development, knows a good story when he hears one. And back in 2007, when he got this email from a fellow Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity brother he'd never met, it was so honest. Reggie knew there was something there.
I could have kept my condition secretive, but this is not what brotherhood is about.
The email was written by Ralph Franklin, a lawyer and teacher in his 50s who had just been diagnosed with prostate cancer.
And I just felt like, this was a story that needed to be told, that I was so moved by his email.
So Reggie, who had never made a documentary before, asked Ralph if he'd be willing to share his story.
He said, Ralph, what I'm talking about is going to change your life. I said, Reggie, my life has been changed already. It's been a long trip.
The documentary, If You Are My Brothers, follows Ralph through his treatments, and producing it taught Reggie a lot about perseverance and prostate cancer.
It affects a lot of men, in particular African American men. I also learned, though, that it doesn't have to be a death sentence.
Reggie was already getting his own PSA levels checked, and a couple of times they've been a little elevated, which can be a warning sign of prostate problems.
I always thought, wow, this is great for the documentary. I mean, here's the producer, and I'll get checked, and I wasn't really worried because my PSA wasn't that high. I didn't have any symptoms at all.
Yet, as a friend shot this video, Reggie's storyline suddenly changed as he and his wife learned that he too had prostate cancer.
That is the most ironic part of this documentary. It's fascinating. When he found out, it's like, what?
Almost overnight, Ralph went from being Reggie's documentary subject to his guide, coaching him through treatment.
Because when you have gone through it, you can tell other men specifically, say, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen.
And almost 2 years after his diagnosis, Reggie Hicks is now cancer-free. And the documentary of how Ralph's story became his story is almost finished. And Reggie hopes to have that documentary complete by September, and he'll try to distribute it through local churches and community groups. And Ralph is still in treatment, and he's part of a clinical trial at the Cleveland Clinic. He says that he feels just blessed to be here given the diagnosis that he was given. And wow, how one man's journey becomes another man's journey, and these two strangers, will be tied forever.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How this all played out for these men.
Just incredible.
Seems like a documentary that a lot of guys have to see.
And hopefully they will.
Yeah, I hope so too. Beth, thanks.
All right, thank you, Beth.
Prostate cancer is disproportionately represented in the African American community. In order to improve the outcomes for African American men with prostate cancer, we must increase education and awareness. Every African American man 40 years of age and older should 1. Know your PSA score. 2. Track your score from year to year. 3. Know your family history. 4. Seek further help from your physician. 5. Know your options and outcomes for treatment. And 6. Know that being informed is a good thing. Choose life over libido.